Where did you go to school at, for people who don't know?
I went to the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. I found a way and I made one. So, yeah.
Exactly. Shout out to everybody from the CAU, all my Morehouse folks, all my Spelman folks. We love y'all.
Don't forget Morris Brown. They're
Morris
open
Brown.
now.
Are they?
Yes.
Didn't know that.
The entire AUC is open, baby.
That's good.
Open, up, and running. Yes.
I got you. So when we think about politics, and we typically we deal with black folks, I guess you usually see Democratic voters, Democratic Party. You're a little bit different though, right? You represent something different.
I'm one of one. I don't know what I represent.
What my son said, he said, you're an anomaly, Dad.
Yeah,
you're
an anomaly.
Right,
yeah.
you're an anomaly. So what is it like being a conservative on the other side, the representation? What is that like?
So for me, it's not very different because I grew up with a very Southern traditional family. And my parents, I'm adopted, so my parents are a bit older than most people's parents. So I grew up an old soul. Like, abortion was never a thing, like gay people got talked about in the church. We wasn't marrying no gay couple in the church. That's just your special friend. Yeah.
That's your what?
That's your special friend. Like, when it came to like wars, like, the first, like, the big conversations I remember, the first instances I remember of hearing conversations about war was, of course, after 9/11.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any black people that agreed with us being over there. Everybody was like, we need to worry about at home. We need to worry about at home. So, like, it was always an America first. It was always an us first type of thing,
Yeah.
And then growing up in the black community as well, I knew people who had to go to different schools, not even just because they thought the school was better education-wise, but a lot of times for safety because, gangs and different things like that. So I also know people whose moms were arrested or fined for using addresses that weren't their own to send those kids to school.
I remember that.
And I never thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So, like, when it came to school choice, it's like, oh, snap, like, we've been doing that. So, like, what, So it's just as far as just being... I'm not necessarily the most biblically aligned, but, like, me and God, we like this. You feel me? So it's like, for me growing up, like, my values had never changed. The values that were instilled in me all aligned with conservatism.
Yeah.
What I will say, though, is that I never knew that until I made it to college and I interned for the party. But, that's why it just felt natural to me because I was just like, wait, I do agree with this. I do agree with this. I think our infrastructure should be a priority.
What are some of the biggest things you agreed on? Is it like pro-life, Second Amendment?
The first thing was, the first thing definitely was school choice because that was the big thing in the news at the time when I started my internship. Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute. They all acting like y'all said, screw black people and F the poor kids. And it's like, it was nothing like that, And so that was first. And then when it came to being pro-life, I mean, like, I can't say like I'm the biggest pro-life person. Like I'm not outside with a picket sign or whatever. But I was born into a situation in which most people would have told my mom to get an abortion. I'm probably sure a lot of people did tell her to get an abortion. Yeah. But I love my life. I love the fact that I'm here. And so I don't think that being born into, not the best circumstances is qualifications to terminate somebody's life, like to not even give them a chance, to not even see what they can be.
We get a lot of pushback when we bring that up, right? So sometimes when I speak about like...
I said it. Hello.
Sometimes when we speak about like being pro-life, and I always like my counter argument is always how did it serve the black community, right? Like it didn't serve us well, right? 30 million.
No, not at all.
Removed.
So outside of the personal aspect of it, where I'm grateful to be alive, and I'm glad that my mom chose to have me, right? Even though the circumstances weren't the best. Yeah. I also became extremely like quote unquote radicalized during my government, stuff, because that's when I started learning about Malcolm X. Yeah. And so then, you go down this rabbit hole of racism and you learn about eugenics and you learn about how even though we don't see the KKK out burning us and stuff like they used to, we're killing ourselves for them, And a lot of people don't remember this, so I might be telling my age
Take
here.
It back, let them know.
I'm not that old anyway, so it don't matter. Still in my 20s. But BET used to run a commercial during 106 in Park in which there was this guy going around asking everybody what's the number one killer of black people. And all the black people were like, oh, heart disease, oh, gun violence, oh, HIV, AIDS, stroke, diabetes, whatever the factor is. And then the guy would be like, abortion. And then everybody would be like, oh. And then he would show the numbers that you could combine all these other factors, every single one, gun violence, AIDS, heart attack, stroke, cancer, high blood pressure, all of that. Yeah. All of them failed in comparison to how many of us die from abortion. And then when I learned that 50% of us are never born, and then when I learned that you got to take in the fact that 50% of us are never born, then 1/3 of our men are in prison. what's left for the black women, to go ahead and create
Look at
a
that
family?
camera and say it again,
What's
please.
left for the black women to go ahead and, create a family? What's left to nurture, And so it's like...
And you learned all this at CAU?
No, baby, that was all self-taught. That was all self-taught. So another thing, let me go ahead and throw this in there. When they talk about taking black history out of schools, that's nothing that I learned in school. Mm-hmm. That was all information that I sought out for myself. And that's something I would have never learned in school. Mm-hmm. They might tell you that Margaret Sanger founded abortion, but they're never going to tell you that it was a eugenics movement started to exterminate the black race. And it was initially formed to sterilize black women. Those first few trials of abortion weren't to see if we could successfully and safely terminate a pregnancy. It was to see if we could sterilize women one by one to prevent them from ever getting pregnant again.
So why do we get so much pushback? Like when we speak up as a community, it's almost like beyond cancel. Like, man, you don't have a right to speak about it. You, how dare you? My body, my choice. Where's this aggression coming from?
You know what? There's a lot of paid opposition. I wholeheartedly believe that for black people to just convince other black people that destructive behaviors are good for them. So right now we see a lot of promotion of abortion. Ever since the 90s, we saw the gang culture and hood and thug culture being glamorized. And now we have an issue with kids killing each other, adults killing each other. People have no regard for human life whatsoever. And now in the new age, you see that everybody want to pop pills and do drugs and drink lean. And remember, lean was a big thing. And Pimp C died. You would have thought people would have woke up when Pimp C went down.
It definitely wasn't as focused as it is when we was growing up. You might have had a little marijuana. There wasn't no druggy culture, right?
Shoot,
it wasn't
now?
songs about. I seen something on Spotify. I was looking one day for like top hip hop songs. It might have been a few months back, and they said the song was called Plan B. And I told my wife, I said, "Do you think this song is what it's?" But I was so thrown back. I was so thrown off because I was like, "Where have we got as a culture where we promote abortion?"
And my whole thing is, again, I used to watch that BET commercial. Yeah. And then, like, I know that growing up, like, all my mom has two sisters and then they have daughters. So it's like abortion was never something that was like celebrated. Like now we celebrate abortion. When did that start happening? Abortion used to be something you did in the dark and you never told nobody.
Very much so.
You feel me? It was a shameful thing to do.
Very
now
much so.
women wake up and get an abortion every week.
Yeah.
And they feel the need to tell the world about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, lives matter. So when does it start?
Yeah. And when I was growing up, my mother and my grandmother, and even my daughter's grandmother and her mother was like, we don't believe in abortion, right?
And a lot of us grew up in the church.
Yeah.
So that's just not a thing.
And they definitely
you
were in
might
church.
shame the teenage mother for doing what she did, but the village would still come together and take care of that baby. There is no abortion.
Yeah.
So Catholics, you look at other races, they don't believe in abortion. They are having their babies. The black population is the only population to remain stagnant for the last 60 years, and that is all due to abortion. All the other factors that we just talked about, the killing each other, the drugs, the horrible health conditions, none of that matters when you look at how many of us are aborting the next generation.
So you telling me that's the number one agenda of destructive?
Absolutely. Like the KKK don't have to be outside no more. We are the KKK. You new Negroes are the new KKK. Y'all are shooting each other, promoting it. Y'all are aborting all the babies, promoting it. Y'all are overdosing on all these drugs and still, for whatever reason, promoting drug use to other people. This is literally the work of the KKK. We don't need to hang from trees no more.
So why does the Democratic Party promote the complete opposite?
Because, baby, the Democratic Party was never put here to help us anyway. Once Lyndon B. Johnson realized that he could get those niggers to vote Democrat for the next 200 years, he was like, oh.
Hold on, take this back. Rewind.
Because that's what he said.
When was that?
It's 1964.
And he said, what now?
I will get those niggers to vote Democrat for the next 200 years. And that's exactly what happened. And once they realized how emotionally tied we were to our decisions, they were like, all we had to do was this, and they're loyal to us? Well, since now we look like their savior, let's tell them what else is good. Yeah. Next thing you know, single-parent households being promoted. Next thing you know, abortion. This feminism movement is coming in.
Hold on. Slow it down for folks because...
my bad, I talked too fast.
No, you ain't giving it up because I want more. That's why we've been trying to get Michaela here for months. I mean, this is like 4 or 5 months, and y'all check her online. Y'all know her schedule. She's hard to get, but we got it here. Politics and Black families. So let's rewind it back, right? So when we talk about removing the daddy out the household, right? Because they call it systemic and all that. I'm saying, but talk about how we got there. The daddies was in the household. Lyndon B. Johnson wrote in the welfare program, all these social benefits. They removed the daddy out the household. where are we at now with it? What is,
And they use the guise of feminism. So, it's like, hey, you don't have to deal with this. And I'm going to say we're not going to invalidate the experiences of some of our mothers and grandmothers, aunties and uncles who were in abusive relationships, who did need to leave and did need to feel empowered to be able to make those decisions so that they could raise a healthy family. However, not everybody was going through that. You have a lot of situations, and we can talk about it, where there's a bitter baby mama, a bitter baby daddy, whatever. And so once you tell somebody, hey, you don't have to deal with this, kick him out, we'll pay your rent, kick him out, we'll buy your food, kick him out, we will keep your lights on, then like, what's the point? Now you see the man as disposable. Whereas the man used to be the head of the household. The man was literally the guy. He was right here at the top. He was him. It was Jesus, and then it was your man. You feel me?
say it again, say it again, say it again.
It was God, and then it was your man. Now you just got you, the foundation. Like, baby, what? There's nothing to build on it. And who's gonna build it if not the man? Because when you see me with a power tool, hello,
say it again. Say it again. With my wife, we'll pick up a drill. Talking about to knock this out. Let me get this work done. I might not do it, but I'm gonna get somebody to do it.
You're gonna provide that service.
We're gonna make sure it gets done.
Provide, and for whatever reason, they were able to roll in these programs and get women to believe that they could protect and provide for themselves. And again, I think that it was great for the women who were suffering from abusive relationships because they didn't have to stay in them. However, to promote these things as programs that would incentivize women to keep having babies and be by themselves, and therefore which allowed for these babies to be raised by the streets and influenced by outside, members of the community and music and TV and movies. Because if mom's at work, the kids only had TV. Yeah. Mom's at work, the kids is playing video games. Mom's at work, the corner boy on the street, he looked cool because he buy me snacks every day on my way home. I want to be just like him. Yeah. Exactly. And it's like they knew exactly what we were doing and we fell for it. And 60 years later, we still are in this vicious cycle of degeneracy. Yeah. So can't nobody make me feel bad for saying something about it.
Let me ask you, you know what? Preach. Let me get this finger snapped, y'all. If y'all in the room, let me hear you snap it up. Okay, there we go. Let me ask you, is it lonely being a Black Republican?
No. I'm Michaela Montgomery.
Ooh, talk to
I can never be lonely. First of all, like I said, me and God like this. I walk with Jesus. I could never be alone.
Yeah.
I got a baby. I could never be alone.
Yeah.
But also it's like I've always been me. So this didn't come as a surprise to most people. And like my personality, like people understand that, like, I don't know what the misconception about Black Republicans was before. I mean, I guess I kind of do, because all you hear is they're racist, they don't want to be Black, da-da-da-da-da. But you could never get that vibe from me. Yeah. And so when I tell people, like,
only Afro in the White House, right?
The only one. The only one. And they told me I couldn't do it. That was the one reason why I made sure to do it. Yeah. But it's like, this Kayla always been crazy as hell. So nobody ever was like, what, Kayla? They're like, It was more like, Kayla, tell us more.
So you never feel anything being like the racial minority in your political group versus in a political minority in your racial group? Do you ever feel it like any
No, the only like anxiousness or uncertainty I ever had was how experienced I was when I came in the game. How I didn't know anybody and how I didn't know how anything worked. Being Black never had me like, oh, dang, I don't belong here. Being a woman never had me like, oh, dang, I don't belong here. It was always like, am I smart enough to be in this room?
Yeah.
And once I realized I was, chest out, shoulders up. Hello.
Let me ask you, so what do you think the Republican Party can do to get more Black Americans interested in the party? And what do you think they're doing right now that's getting people like waking up? Because I see more Black Republicans, I see more Black conservatives, I see people that's like really, I go in the barbershop and I tell people all the time, like, I don't know who's reporting this, but it's wrong, right? If you go into the barbershop right now, the one I just came out of 30 minutes ago, these guys' message is very conservative. Like, these are fathers. These are people who care about things. And I'm like, I just wonder why. So anyhow,
that's why they wanted the father out of the home, because most fathers are conservative. That's all I'm going to say to that.
Yeah.
But I think the Republican Party is doing a really good job at identifying and uplifting the newcomers and different voices and embracing the different styles and different, I guess the different means in which people deliver their message. We have now strayed away from the common, you have to be super polished, suit and tie, look like a model for Ralph Lauren in order to, be with us. You can have your guy, you have your I don't want to say his name because he's not a good example, but you have your rappers who are now, identifying as conservative. And so you have young men like, oh, snap, like, okay, what's up with that? You see more women who, as we grow older and become more conscious of our bodies are like, oh, wow, I don't think I would ever want to lay on a table and let somebody cut me all up or cut a baby up inside of me and drag them out, Yeah. So it's like, I think that, again, it's the views that we all grew up with already.
Yeah.
And then seeing them apply to real life and the Republican Party now opening the space for more people to come in. Like you see, like Trump doing all the podcasts and different streaming, streaming. What do you call it when they stream? I don't know.
Live streams.
Yeah, there we go. You young people.
Yeah.
But
that's the first compliment I got, y'all. Y'all know I look like somebody's granddaddy. I am somebody's granddaddy. Actually, I got a granddaughter. Shout out to my daughter who just had a little baby. Go ahead.
Aw, congratulations.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's the fact that you have more people who don't look like you're a traditional Black Republican in the space that I think are allowing more people to be in the space. Then, with the age of social media and people, want to do things for the sake of likes and engagement, folks now aren't necessarily that afraid to be vocal about their views because, they welcome that engagement.
Yeah.
And lastly, the one thing that we could do better, though, is the messaging, because unfortunately, some of our cousins is a little slow. Some of them only pay attention to the shade room and all of this other stuff. So if we could just do a better job at making sure the information that is relayed to our communities is relayed properly so that there isn't this mass hysteria, then we'd have this stuff in the bag. Like the dismantling of the Department of Education. Let me go ahead and break it down.
Come on, talk about it.
You got a whole bunch of people who think that these kids who don't get food at home will no longer get food at school because there is no DOE. First of all, it's the Department of Agriculture that handles the school meals. So there's still no child that's going to be left hungry. The next thing that I heard was that, oh my God, they're going to get rid of the Pell Grant and all of these other things so that HBCUs are going to suffer and kids who can't afford school aren't going to be able to go to school. Those instances, that subset of issues is going to be moved over to the Department of Treasury, and they're going to handle your new Pell Grants and your student aid and things like that. And then they'll say things like, oh my God, well, they're not going to fund disabilities or the IEP programs. That's being moved over to the Department of Health and Human Services. So if more Black people knew that, we wouldn't have this uproar about the DOE going. And then let me also tell y'all that the DOE only pays for...
Thank you for touching on that. Thank you for touching on that.
Yeah, the DOE only pays for 10% of K through 12 schools. Like, it's only 10% of the funding. If you genuinely believe that your state cannot recover 10% of funds to give to the DOE, to give to the school system, which they already barely give money to, sweetheart, you are sadly mistaken. And at that point, that's when you have to look at your elected officials and see what are they voting on in these budgets. What are they asking for every fiscal year? Because now with Doge, we're seeing that we're paying millions of dollars to watch shrimp run on treadmills.
Hold it right there. Take it back, because I'm going to get you. Listen, I told her to let go, y'all, but I did not know. Hey, listen, anyhow, so this is Michaela and Politics of Black Family. Hey, all right. So let me, real quick, when you said elected officials, and we look at our elected officials, how much of this falls back on them?
All of it. The elected officials are the ones that are in the room. The elected officials are the ones who have the voice to go ahead and, even if they're not presenting a bill, they can get up and talk about whatever they want. They can get up and say, yeah, I'd like to speak on this. And say, you know what, this is a good bill, but I want to raise this question. Like, there's nothing stopping these guys from advocating for the things that are important to us, except for the fact that we're not forcing their hand and making them advocate for the things that are important for us. If you send an email to your legislator and you ask a question, it might take you a second to get it. Or if you try to send an email to some kind of department, it might take you a second to get an answer. But if a legislature sends a question to any department, that department has 24 hours to respond. It's literally on our elected officials who we elect to represent us to actually represent us. And we're not making them do that. We vote them in, we celebrate, we go to the party, we dance to 2 Chainz, and next thing you know... Let me
shout
stop.
Out 2 Chainz. Do you think it's because voter turnout is so low when it comes to like state and city races that they feel like, I mean, you won't even show up to the polls?
Well, that's something that I think that the Republican Party used to believe that people don't show up to the polls. Like Black people. Let's just talk about Black people because there's politics in Black families.
Yeah.
So I think that the Republican Party used to bank on the fact that black people aren't going to show up for them or black people aren't going to show up at all. The Democratic Party always banked on we don't really care about the people who aren't going to show up because we know the people that are going to show up are going to vote Democrat. Now, of course, that we've seen this shift with this last election, fortunately, both parties are now going to have to earn the vote of the voters. And so I think that when it comes to low voter turnout, there's also a lot of mainstream, again, fear-mongering in which they're like, oh, well, they're closing down these polling places and, oh, well, these people don't have rights. And my question is for the people like Roland Martin, who always love to say that access to the polls is being limited to poor people, as somebody worth a couple $1 million, more than a couple, you in the double digits of the millions of dollars, why is it that you aren't spearheading some sort of transportation service so that these underserved people that you care about so much can hop on a shuttle and go vote?
Yeah.
Because Republicans do that.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what do you think the Democrats, and I don't want to flip it like that, but what do you think they are getting right? What do you think they get right? Hold on, don't Zelensky me.
That you have some really slow and lost Negroes who, for whatever reason, will remain stuck in their ways, and that they will be able to, as long as they can make something trendy, and as long as they can keep something popular, as long as they can keep something, a common theme being promoted in our music and our TV shows and the video games, then when they bring it out policy-wise or when they, play on it during election season, we're already pre-programmed to agree with it. So that's the one thing they got right, is they have mastered how to pre-program you Negroes into believing what they say during election season is right. Yeah. Because think about it, they'll spend 4 years highlighting, these 1 or 2 black men who get killed by police. Then election season comes around and it's like, we have to do something about this police problem. Yeah. We got it. Black lives, they matter. Yeah. But it's like, okay, black lives didn't matter when you was telling that the whole class at Spelman to get abortions. Black lives didn't matter if you guys are talking about the maternal health rate, but you guys aren't investing into anything to help study why black women are dying. Black lives didn't matter when it comes to women who want to have children but can't because of PCOS, endometriosis, uterine fibroids, whatever. What are y'all doing to help those women? Because if black lives really mattered, we would promote black life, not just preserve it.
Golly.
My bad, y'all.
No,
it's
okay,
It's a little early. We've been here about 10 minutes. Oops.
No. Let's do this, right? Let's move this conversation a little forward, right? When people what's your gauge on Trump's first 30 days in office?
I think that man don't sleep. That man got a pen and smoking, all right? That thing is just burning his fingertips. But I appreciate the fact that, and I don't mean to sound cliche, but these are promises made and these are promises that were kept.
Yes.
He told us he was going to close that border. He told us he was going to start deporting folks. He told us he was going to release these FBI files. He told us he was going to demolish the Department of Education. He told us he was about to get the poison out of our foods. He told us he was about to do something about Ukraine, Russia, and anybody else who had an issue. He told you that he was going to get a ceasefire in Gaza before he was elected. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Why? Because don't nobody want these problems, all right? At the end of the day, he told us that America would come back to the superpower status that it was known as, and that's exactly what we're doing, because who playing with us right now?
You see that talk this afternoon with Zelensky and all of that?
Oh, absolutely.
I see Vance and all of them. They ain't playing.
At all.
Like, that's where we at right now?
And that's where we need to be at, because we've been a joke for the last 4 years. We have been swindled out of our money. We have lost troops unnecessarily. We have Americans suffering at the hands of our federal government. So yes, and every other country is looking like, what are y'all doing? Wide open borders, that if anybody, that's when I knew Negroes didn't have a passport. Because I'm like, what do y'all mean? You can't just go into anybody else's country. Like, you literally cannot do that.
Try to get in Europe. See how hard it is to try to get in Europe.
And so it's like, now all of a sudden y'all want to feel bad for folks because they can't do it here. This is America. We ain't never played that.
Exactly.
We always account for who coming over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it was the wrong way.
Yeah. So what do you say to folks who are having this conversation right now? It's two big conversations that I get a lot. People send me like emails and DMs and like, you have to bring this up. One is Trump cutting Medicaid, right? He's cutting
When
Medicaid.
did that happen? Somebody show me
I literally
where that
sent somebody
happened.
a post and was like, look, I'm not trying to play peacekeeper, but he said it right here. I'm not
I'm gonna
touching it.
sit
I'm
right
not
here
going
and
to
I'm
touch
gonna
it.
wait. I wish
Yeah.
this was live because I would.
Yeah.
Look, I put the money on the flow.
Yeah, yeah.
Show me where he did that.
Yeah,
Show
exactly.
me where he cut Medicaid. Show me where he cut food stamps, and show me where he cut Social Security. Because I've heard all the same three things as well.
Yeah.
None of that happened, but the Shade Room told you it did, and Jasmine Crockett told you he did. So guess what? Y'all believed it.
Yeah,
Jasmine
yeah.
Crockett also said you don't need a
What's your thoughts on
$5,000
Jasmine
check.
Crockett?
She said I don't need $5,000. I don't know about you, but I got a baby, honey. I got a baby. I need some money.
You hear
I
me?
need cheese for my egg. What are you talking about? So if you tell me that my federal government went and audited every agency and found out that we were wasting all this money and they recovered all these funds and they said
That's
we
your
should
money,
give
right?
this money back to the American people who paid into this, and she gonna say no?
Yeah.
How far detached are you from the average American to where you believe that $5,000 wouldn't do anything for the average American?
$500.
$500 to do something, okay?
hear me?
You got folks right now don't know how to pay their light bill. Speaking of which, call your public service commission if you ever can't pay your light bill. That's a resource a lot of black people don't know. I hate the fact that I heard so many stories of people growing up with no lights and stuff. But
Yeah.
that's off to the side.
Yeah, because I see you, and that's the thing about you. You ain't one-sided. I see you at Fulton County. You got folks through the city. Like,
honey.
I'm telling y'all, like, if for people that don't know, I'm telling y'all, Natalie, Marvin, all of them, they show love, they show up, and they support and rock with what you represent. And I think it's powerful because if a person is advocating the truth, and some things are truth, some things are misinformation, but some things are truth, right? So we can't ignore but so much, right? And I think seeing Black Americans wake up right now and voices like yours, Avian Brew, what's my man Azad, all these voices that's coming across, I'm like, you can ignore them, but it don't mean they're not there. It don't mean it's not the truth. You
Absolutely.
know? So I appreciate what y'all doing. I do want to ask you this question that people talk about. Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the president. Elon Musk is more than just an advisor. He's dictating things. He's running things.
First of all, Donald Trump is the president, and we all know good and well if Donald Trump don't like the job that you're doing, you're fired. So I don't want to hear that. Y'all can get out my face. Elon got one time to misstep. You're fired. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, because he was saying, I'm like, I don't know. Every president has like an advisors. That's,
Absolutely.
everybody had one, right? And they say, well, he's cutting all these jobs. I'm like, Clinton did the same thing.
Bill Clinton cut 400,000 jobs out of the federal government,
Yeah.
and we applauded him for it.
Yeah.
Donald Trump ain't even cut that many. It's about half that, maybe
Yeah.
a third.
What-
And here we are losing our minds.
Where does the hate come from? Is it because somebody's
The hate
rich
comes
and
from the fact that
successful?
it's Trump. It's literally just the fact that it's Trump. It's the fact that he's a Republican. Because I think the hate, because they was kind of nice to Mitt Romney and they was a little bit nice to John McCain, I guess. But,
I always say I think
they
'cause
also lost. So there's that.
I always say I think because he did it his way. Right? I didn't follow your rules. I didn't, even with the Republican Party, I'm not that Republican, right? And to your point you made earlier, like the voices and the people you see now that's part of that are Republicans or conservatives or lean that way or even, side more than they used to side. I was going to ask you, do you think it's because of Trump or you think it's the conservative ideology that they're attracted to?
I think we live in times now where you really feel everything that you're going through. So for the last 4 years, everybody felt the weight of inflation. For the last 4 years, everybody felt or had to deal with the issue that was the illegal immigration. People really could see their neighborhoods looking like these war-torn areas that they're showing you on the news. And they're expecting you to feel bad for those people, even though when you walk outside, your neighborhood looks exactly the same. People can see that, and now we're in the age of social media in which you can't just limit this information to a certain area of people and hope that the people on the other side of the country hear it. What we saw in North Carolina, they would have did their damnedest to try and keep that quiet and keep it in that community. And with the way that it was flooded and the lack of aid that they received, they probably would have been able to do it, But since we're in the age of social media, they could literally not hide from the fact that they did not help the people in their backyard. Yet every day you woke up and it seemed like Joe Biden was sending more and more money to Ukraine. And it's like, what in the world is going on? And so for us to see our neighbors suffering, yet these strangers are getting help, it was insane to a lot of us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's I think that's what's doing it. And again, like the same thing for the women, you know, we're getting older and we're becoming more conscious of our bodies. You know, the men is getting money now. Women is too. So folks understand taxes. They be like, wait a minute, a third of my check went where? You looking at it like it's a bill. You're like, whoa, what you mean?
For sure.
So it's like, I think that, again, those are the things that are drawing people to conservatism, because people are beginning to understand just how much politics impacts your daily life.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, the Conservative Party is more attractive to me, but I was also in the space to do all this learning and stuff and then I made a switch over. Everybody else is literally just living their life.
Yeah.
And because of what's going on in the world, that's what's bringing them over. And much like we saw, the whole United States was damn near red this election. Why? Because people have lived through hell for the last 4 years, and they were begging for something different. They were like, I don't care who it is, please help me. What Kevin Hart said, help me. You know? So it was one of those things. And so now you see a lot of people coming over here, but that draws me back to my point of why messaging is so important, because they're coming over here, but if we want to keep them over here, they need to understand that the issues that you were facing, we are working on them. And maybe the process in which we're addressing these issues might not be familiar to you, but the end result is something that your kids' kids will thank you for.
Yeah, indeed. Well done. Clap it up, y'all, one time. We gonna act like she just ain't just giving that talk up. Like, we're not gonna do that. I might just sign her to my record company. She's like my artist.
Let me spit a few bars.
So I'm gonna ask you. So we're gonna move this ahead real quick. We could talk forever. Like, I could literally talk to you probably. I got so much I want to ask you that I got you. I'm like, I got so much. This is like a little culture, right? Mm-hmm. No matter of fact, let's not even do this. When was the last time you cried?
Shoot, I be crying like every day. I don't know. Let's see. Today. Today was my baby's birthday. Happy birthday, Maya.
Happy birthday.
So I'm looking at pictures. I'm like, oh my God, I really have a baby.
Yeah. Oh, that's why you was going so hard online there with all the baby pictures.
Yeah. Today's her birthday. She turned 5 today.
What's
and
your
I
daughter's
still can't
name?
believe it. Amaya.
Shout out to Amaya. Happy birthday, Amaya.
Yes.
Happy birthday from Politics and Black Families. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Let me ask you this question. How would you, so your answer was you cry all the time?
Oh, yeah. I'm a very emotional person. A lot of people don't know that, because I just choose happiness every day. But it's like, this stuff be weighing on me, man. I be like, dang.
Yeah.
But you got to get that out. You know, you have to really like go ahead and feel what you're feeling, let it out, and then life goes on.
And what's your sign?
Oh, I'm a Sagittarius.
Sagittarius?
Yes, big fire sign. Yes.
Big fire. And who are Sagittarius compatible with?
Every Shoot.
So if this was a dating show and God was
let
saying,
them know I'm single. Hello, I'm compatible with them all.
Okay. So what are 2 requirements for a person that's trying to date Michaela Montgomery? Take her on a date and just.
Golly, well, you got to be literate. Oh baby, I'm gonna ask you to read out loud on the first date.
You would have been dumped me then.
But I like men who are genuinely nice. I like men. I like men who are men. I like men who know they're men, who want to be men. I like men who take pride in being men. Men who build stuff. Men who fix stuff. Men who, problem solvers. Oh my God. Yeah. I like men.
Yeah, I got you.
Men. And you see them more so on the conservative side than on the liberal side, you know? And it's like, I've met some manly men on that side, and I'm like, how could you vote this way? This don't make no sense. You gonna walk into a lady's bathroom? So it's just like, But yeah, you trying to date me, I'd prefer you to be taller than me, please.
Okay, so there we go. Fellas, if y'all want me to hook that up, hit me up. IKeepItClassy.com. We get this speed date together. You can sit right here. We can set it up. Damien gonna run it. We gonna make this thing happen.
Gotta pop some balloons on y'all. Yeah.
And let me ask you this question. How would you describe motherhood?
It is so beautiful and so rewarding. So as somebody, finna turn the tides, as somebody who battled with depression for a long, long, long time, I really used to ask God, why am I here?
Yeah.
And that's not why I had a baby. Please don't go get sad and think I need a baby, because that's not how it happened. But I will say that I was always the type to say that I'm not trying for a baby, but if it happens, I'm going to have my baby. And my life has changed so much for the better. Like anytime where I feel like giving up, I'm like, oh, wow, I have a kid.
Yeah.
Anytime like I do get a lot of backlash now, not from folks who know me, from people who don't know me, but I didn't know that standing for something you believe in would make people hate you so bad, but then it's like, my baby's like, I love you, mommy. You're the best mommy ever.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then when you get higher up and there's that competition aspect, when trying to deal with other black people instead of the collaborative aspect that you might go into it expecting.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like, what is this? But then it's like, you know what? You got to keep pressing on because you have a kid.
Yeah.
And I will say that you can do these things without a kid, yes, but just something about having something to take care of, having somebody look up to you, having somebody who's always proud of you, who loves you unconditionally. Like, it's amazing. Do I wish I had a family? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could only imagine.
You got a family. We right here.
Oh,
Politics
well, thank
and black
you.
families.
But
right
y'all
here.
not going home with me tonight. So hello. But anyway.
Game says speak for yourself.
I will say that, I grew up in a 2-parent household. So it's like, I know how beautiful it is to have a family that comes together and have parents who work together to raise their children. And how mom, if she starts to get stressed, dad is there. How if dad is like, working too hard, the kids will come make them feel better. Or mom will do something a little extra. So like, it's beautiful to see that level of love in a household. Yeah. And so me and my baby we love each other, but I wish I could show her how she's supposed to be loved as she gets older. Indeed. I can tell her till I'm blue in the face. But that's the one part about, my motherhood experience that I wish I had.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sending you love and blessings that you're going to get exactly what you want.
Baby, one day. Hey.
Yeah. All right, we're going to, this is kind of rapid fire, and we're going to wrap this up. And you're going to look in that camera and let them know how to check out Conserve the Culture, how to check you out online, and how do you plan on leaving the world better than you found it. But that's after you do this rapid fire, right? So what's your favorite movie?
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X?
Yes.
What's your favorite hip-hop artist?
Oh, gosh. Like, what classifies as hip-hop? Is R&B included in there?
Whatever, you could say
Beyonce. I'm a Beyonce girl. Yep, I don't care. Okay. That's the one thing me and these libs got in common.
And what's your favorite state in America?
Georgia. Yeah.
Okay, and can church girls twerk?
Oh, my God, I'm not supposed to tell on them.
So that's the yes or no.
I'm pleading the fifth.
I got you. And if it's Thanksgiving and I invite you to my home, what are you going to bring us for Thanksgiving? What are you going to cook that going to set it off?
I mean, I know everybody tells you mac and cheese, and I do make a bomb mac and cheese, but my dressing going to set it off. Set it off. So, yeah.
All right, and there you go. Now look at that camera and let them know where they can find more info about you and how you plan on leaving the world better than you found it.
All right. Well, again, I am Michaela Montgomery. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Miss Kayla Baby. That is MISSKAYLAABABII. I do have a Conserve the Culture page up. You guys can look up Conserve the Culture on Instagram. But I haven't gotten into my content bag yet. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Not like you young people, with all this setup and the lights and the wires and the editing, But that's how y'all can find me, Michaela Montgomery on Facebook as well. But I'm Miss Kayla Baby on everything, on Twitter or X, on Snapchat, and on Instagram. Oh, and TikTok, even though I don't post there either. I got to do better, y'all.
Don't worry,
I got to stop acting like I'm 40.
We got you.
But how I plan to leave this world a better place than how I entered it is to honestly be the friend that I needed at every stage in life and to encourage other people to do the same. So when I was young and I felt like I didn't belong and I thought I was ugly and that there was no hope and woe is me, like I needed a friend. I needed this version of me back then. When I was a teenager and you're battling with all this peer pressure and I had real strict parents. So I felt like, dang, like everybody doing this and I didn't understand it. So, be that friend, to a teenager. And then when I started college and I didn't have any money and I'm working 3 jobs to try and pay for school and I feel like I was missing out on so many things. Like if I had a me when I was in college to point me in a direction in which could show me different jobs and ways that I could make money that would work with my college schedule so that I wouldn't have to miss so much class, so that I wouldn't have to take so many semesters off just to keep up. Like I could have saved myself a whole heap of trouble. And then even now as an adult, as I navigate these professional spaces and I feel like I might be a little too rough around the edges for some folks. It's like, I just tell myself every day, God got me, but it's like, I know that there's other people who feel like, oh, dang, I don't look the part. I don't have money, or I didn't go to school, or I didn't do this. And it's like, honest to God, if your heart is in it and you mean well, get out there and say something. Like, I hate to tell y'all to go buy a mic because honestly, these podcast mics are a plague in the black community. But But if you truly, are standing for something and you want to help other people live in their light and live in their truth, then be that person that's confident enough to do it themselves. Like, y'all see, I change my hair all the time. They told me I couldn't do it like this. I'm still doing it. I dress different than most conservatives that you see. I talk different than most conservatives you see. So just be authentically you so that you can inspire somebody else to do so, especially if you're successful. Now, if you out here struggling and you broke and you down bad, please don't inspire nobody to be like you. That sounds like you got a lazy spirit, and I'm not promoting that. But if you are moving up, help people understand that they don't have to change who they are to be who they want to be.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, that was good. You don't have to change who you are to be who you want to be. And so, yes, wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Be the friend that you needed at every stage in life, and have that empathy whenever you meet somebody like that. Look down on no one. Because anybody who knows me will tell you, dang, Kayla talked to the janitor, the CEO, the homeless guy, all the same. Because it's like, I don't know who I'm going to see at the gates of heaven, and I need all y'all to vouch for me.
Yeah.
So,
Indeed. Well, you got me vouching for you. Y'all know what it is. It is another episode of Politics and Black Families. Peace.